Good morning, and welcome back to the Great Karma Studio. My name is Chris Crane, and this October, I'm diving deep into Inktober. 31 drawings in 31 days, all in ink. Join me as I explore new ideas, push my creativity, and see where the ink leads us. Our prompt for this morning is Firefly. I'll be taking the idea and turning it into an ink drawing with my own twist. Without any further ado, let's get inking.
Dehandra and the Light Adventure. In a small, slightly wonky house on the edge of Sunbury town lived a boy named Dehandra. He wasn't just any boy, oh no. He was a guitar-playing, bicycle-riding, science-dreaming boy who believed that every problem had a brilliantly bonkers solution. One warm evening, as the lights flickered off for the 10th time that week, thank you, load shedding, Dehandra strummed his guitar in the dark and sighed. If only I could bottle up light. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw a tiniest firefly blink past his nose. Blink. 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 His eyes grew wide. Fireflies. Light that doesn't need plugs. That's it. I'll make a light bulb filled with fireflies. A forever light. The next morning, Dehandra packed his bicycle. He called it Bolt, with all the essentials. A glass jar for fireflies. His blank scientist notebook, or let's be honest, his blank Inktober sketchbook. A slice of leftover pizza, spicy chicken of course. And his trusty guitar tied to his back. Bolt, he said, patting the handlebar. We're off to catch some light. Bolt gave a squeaky little honk that sounded almost like good luck. And off they went, pedaling past sleepy cows, barking dogs, and grumpy neighbors who shouted, "Don't crash into my washing line again, Dehandra." In Flickerfield, the people were friendly but very forgetful. They'd light candles during load shedding, and then forget to blow them out. So when Dehandra arrived with his jar, the mayor said, "Firefly lights, you say? Brilliant. 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 Except, our fireflies left. They moved to Glowberry Swamp." Dehandra frowned. Glowberry Swamp? Isn't that where the singing frogs live? The mayor nodded. And also the huge dragon. The townsfolk gasped. Dehandra gulped. But Bolt just squeaked bravely. The adventure had truly begun. As they entered Glowberry Swamp, the air was thick with croaks and hums. The frogs sang opera. One of them, wearing a tiny top hat, croaked. Do re mi fa sol la di da. You're off pitch, my dear. Dehandra tried to sneak past, but his bicycle chain clinked, and the frogs surrounded him. Who dares disturb our concert? They demanded. Thinking quickly, Dehandra strummed his guitar. He played a tune so cheerful that even the grumpy bass frog started dancing. The frogs cheered and then showed him a shortcut, right to the heart of the swamp, where the magical fireflies glowed like tiny lanterns. The fireflies were enormous, as big as golf balls, and shimmered in shades of gold and orange and yellow. They hummed softly, like a choir of tiny light bulbs. Dehandra whispered, "Would you like to help me bring light to the towns?" The fireflies twinkled in agreement, but just as he started filling his jar, a shadow passed overhead. Roar! Roar roar! The dragon's name was Scorchy Macaroon, though most just called him the Blinky Dragon because one of his eyes always blinked slower than the other. He was huge, red, and smelled faintly of burnt marshmallows. "Who's stealing my light?" he boomed, landing with a thud. Dehandra gulped but stood tall. "Sir Dragon, I'm not stealing. I just want to make light for people during load shedding." Scorchy snorted. "Ha! I use these fireflies to read my bedtime stories. Without them, I'd never fall asleep." Thinking fast, Dehandra grabbed his guitar and began to play a soft tune. A lullaby called "The Sleepy Dragon Blues." Scorchy's eyelids drooped. His wings relaxed. And with a whoosh of smoke, he fell asleep, snoring little fire sparks. Quietly, Dehandra filled his jar, whispered thanks to the fireflies, and tiptoed away. Bolt's wheels made the tiniest squelch sounds in the swampy mud, but the dragon only mumbled, "Don't forget to brush your teeth." Back on the road, Dehandra pedaled faster than ever. Past Flicker Field, past the old windmill, through the rain, and over a hill that looked suspiciously like a giant sleeping hippo. When he returned home, Dehandra gently placed the fireflies into his homemade bulbs, one for every house in Sunbury Town. And when the next load shedding hit, the entire town glowed softly with golden light. Everyone cheered. Hooray for Dehandra, the boy who bottled the stars. Even the mayor danced. Even Bolt got a shiny new bell. Dehandra smiled, strummed his guitar, and said, "Who needs electricity when you've got curiosity?" And just then, far, far away, a sleepy dragon smiled in his dreams. Every night since then, the town glowed gently with firefly light. Children read stories, grandmas knitted by golden glimmers, and Dehandra sat on his porch, strumming and thinking of his next big idea. Maybe, flying bicycles, he grinned. Bolt honked nervously. One invention at a time, Dehandra. One invention at a time, Dehandra. And the fireflies winked in agreement. Lighting up the night, the secret life of fireflies. Despite their name, fireflies are not actually flies. They belong to the beetle family, Lampyridae. That's right, they're basically beetles pretending to be disco balls. There are over 2,000 species of fireflies worldwide. Some flash, some glow steadily, and some don't glow at all. Those last ones are probably the awkward cousins at the family reunion. Fun fact, not all countries have fireflies. In fact, people in colder regions sometimes think we're making them up. Like, yeah sure, glowing bugs. Next you'll tell me frogs can freeze solid and survive winter. Spoiler, they can. Now, how do these little guys glow? Enter one of nature's coolest chemical reactions, bioluminescence. It works like this: inside their lower abdomen, fireflies mix luciferin, a chemical, oxygen, and an enzyme called luciferase. When they react, tada, light. And here's the wild part, fireflies are super efficient. Almost 100% of their energy goes into light, not heat. Compare that to your average light bulb, which gives off more heat than your toaster. Fireflies are basically living LED lights. Oh, and the color of the glow can range from yellow to green to pale red, depending on the species and temperature. So technically, a firefly could be considered mood lighting. Okay, so we know how they glow. But why? Is it to see where they're going? Nope. Is it to find food? Also nope. They glow for love. That's right, those flickering lights are actually pickup lines. Each species has its own flashing pattern, like Morse code for dating. The males fly around blinking their signals, and the females respond if they like what they see. So the next time you see fireflies, remember, you're watching one of nature's most beautiful speed dating events. But beware. Some female fireflies are femme fatale. They mimic the flashes of other species to lure in unsuspecting males, then eat them. Yes, biology just turned into a horror movie. Let's talk life cycle. It all begins with an egg, laid in moist soil or under leaves. After a few weeks, the larvae hatch. These larvae are known as glowworms, and they're just as cool, they glow too. But don't be fooled by their cute little lights. Glowworm larvae are tiny predators. They eat snails, slugs, and other soft-bodied creatures by injecting digestive enzymes. Basically, they're little glowing vampires of the garden. Then they pupate and finally emerge as adult fireflies, ready to light up the night and find love. Sadly, adult fireflies only live for a few weeks. So if you thought your summer holiday was short, imagine spending yours trying to flash date before getting eaten by a frog. Humans, of course, have been obsessed with fireflies for centuries. In Japan, they're symbols of love and transience. In some cultures, they're believed to be spirits or souls. And in modern labs, the luciferase enzyme from fireflies is actually used in medical research to detect things like bacterial contamination and even cancer cells. So yes, fireflies are not just romantic, they're scientific heroes too. Unfortunately, fireflies are disappearing in many places due to pollution, pesticides, and bright city lights that confuse their signals. Imagine trying to flirt under a flashing neon billboard. It's hard to stand out when everything else is glowing too. But there's hope. Turning off unnecessary lights at night, avoiding pesticide use, and preserving natural habitats can help fireflies shine bright again. So next time you see a firefly, don't just think, cool bug. Think, tiny biochemist, romantic poet, environmental messenger, and part-time LED bulb. They remind us that even the smallest creatures can light up the darkest night, literally and metaphorically. Lights Out, the story of load shedding in South Africa. South Africa. A country known for its golden sunsets, its rich culture, and its power cuts. This is the story of load shedding, a word that's become as South African as "bray, baki," or "sorry, the Wi-Fi's down again." For many South Africans, load shedding isn't just an inconvenience. It's a daily part of life. A rhythm. Power on, power off, power, maybe back on. But where did it all begin? To understand load shedding, we have to go back in time, to the early 2000s. Back then, Eskom, South Africa's state-owned power company, was one of the best in the world. Electricity was cheap, reliable, and plentiful. In fact, Eskom even exported power to other African countries. But as South Africa grew, so did its demand for energy. New homes, new factories, new everything, except one thing, new power stations. Eskom warned the government in the 1990s that demand would soon outgrow supply. The government replied, "Don't worry, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it." Unfortunately, when they reached the bridge, there was no power to cross it. In 2007, South Africa experienced its first major wave of load shedding. Cities went dark, industries paused, and people discovered just how romantic candlelight dinners could be, until the food in the fridge went off. Eskom began rotating power cuts across regions to prevent the national grid from collapsing entirely. The idea was simple: take turns being in the dark, so everyone doesn't end up in the dark forever. Load shedding happens when the demand for electricity exceeds what the system can supply. To prevent total grid failure, Eskom temporarily reduces power to certain areas. Think of it like this. If the national grid were a pizza, there's just not enough slices to go around, so Eskom keeps taking some off your plate. Factors that worsen the crisis include aging coal plants, breakdowns, cable theft, and lack of maintenance. Coal, which powers about 80% of South Africa's electricity, has become both a blessing and a curse, reliable once, but now expensive, polluting, and unreliable. Despite the frustration, South Africans have learned to adapt. Families playing cards by candlelight. Cafes with "We have Wi-Fi during load shedding" signs. Someone cooking boerewors on a gas stove. A businessman in a car, charging 3 phones at once. Load shedding has even birthed its own culture. Apps that tell you when it's your turn, memes that make you laugh instead of cry, and the sacred art of timing your shower between stage 4 and stage 6. Speaking of stages, yes, there are levels to this darkness. From stage 1 to stage 8, each level means more power cuts, longer hours, and deeper sighs. By stage 6, South Africans joke that they no longer need watches, they can just tell time by when the power disappears. But not all is dark. In recent years, South Africa has begun investing in renewable energy, solar, wind, and hydro. Private companies and households are turning to solar panels and batteries. For the first time, citizens are taking power, quite literally, into their own hands. Eskom itself is restructuring, and new independent producers are being added to the grid. It's a slow process, but the light at the end of the tunnel might just be solar-powered. Load shedding has become part of South Africa's story, frustrating, yes, but also uniting. It reminds people of resilience, humor, and creativity. Because when the lights go out, South Africans don't just wait, they adapt. They make a plan, share a laugh, and keep the fire burning, even if it's just a candle for now. This is not just about darkness. It's about the people who keep shining through it.
That's it for today's Inktober drawing. I hope you enjoyed this drawing as much as I enjoyed creating it for you. If you're participating in Inktober, let me know in the comments below how you are tackling today's craft. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe so you won't miss out on any other Inktober videos I upload. Take care and I'll see you tomorrow for another Inktober drawing.